Was packing, everybody. Happy Friday. It's your boy God Child, first of his name. Trying to check the audio levels. See where we at. Nigga, what's wrong with you? Oh, now you plugged in, everything plugged in? Everything's plugged in. What's the issue? What the problem is? What's the issue? What the problem is? Oh, there we go. There ain't no issue. There ain't no problem, sir. Uh-oh, what we doing? Ranking the NFL rookie classes. Okay. As I was saying, it's your boy Godchild, first of his name. You are now tuned in to the What's Packin' Sports Show presented by Godchild TV. We are talking Green Bay. We talking NFL. We talking whatever else you might want to talk, man. It's Friday. It's a feel-good Friday. I'm feeling great. I hope you are too. And if you're not, by the end of the show, you should. Anybody who hasn't done so yet, please head on over to the YouTube channel, What's Packin' Sport Show. Hit subscribe, watch some videos, give me some thumbs up, you know what I'm saying? Comment in the comment section and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I drop new content. All right? I would appreciate that very much. As you can see, I'm rocking my football headgear. Rick LM, just your daily reminder that Mike Evans being in the Super Bowl just means his bitch essence is on display on a bigger stage. The whole world will see, hundreds of millions of people will be able to see that Mike Evans is indeed a bitch. And he might become the biggest bitch ever as he potentially loses the Super Bowl. And we could talk about that, man. I mean, we got 2 weeks to get into Super Bowl talk, but it's never too soon to talk about the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, I should check what the line is. Let me see. What is this? DraftKings. Hold on. You know what I think? I feel if I was smart, I would have just bookmarked it. Did I bookmark it? The defense statistics, bet online legally and safely with DraftKings Superbook. I am smart, and I did bookmark it. And right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are a 3-point favorite, which is insane to me, bruh. How are the Chiefs a 3-point favorite when Tampa Bay is playing at home? And we just saw Tampa Bay Tommy take this ragtag group of rascally rabbits, Buccaneers. You know what I'm saying? Like they weren't a good team. I mean, they had the pieces last year to be a good team. They had the potential, but they weren't a good team last year, bruh. And I feel like Vegas and everybody else is sleeping on Tommy Boy. Like, how many times does he have to show us he is the GOAT? How many times do you have to count him out? How many times are we going to, try and discredit something Tom Brady did? How many times are we going to question his greatness? I mean, the dude is now playing in his 10th Super Bowl. The first time ever the Super Bowl is going to be played in the home stadium, in the stadium where the team is from that is playing in the Super Bowl. So he actually has home field advantage. And I thought home field advantage was usually worth 3 points in the betting world. I mean, I'm just like learning about, betting and all that shit. But it's like, how can Tom Brady be the undisputed GOAT at this moment? Now, you got a little baby GOAT and Patrick Mahomes who might be trying to take his spot. I mean, he's got a long way to go, but back-to-back Super Bowls is a start. That's how Tom Brady started his career. Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. If you don't remember, he won 3 out of 4 of his first He won the Super Bowl 3 out of his 4 years. Like first 3 out of the first 4 years of his like career, he won the Super Bowl. So Patrick Mahomes is on his way to, trying to put together a resume and build his legacy to maybe be in that GOAT conversation. But as of right now, it's Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. And I'm really shocked that people are still doubting this man. And he's the underdog, bruh. Like, how you gonna have him as the underdog in his 10th Super Bowl? Like, come on now. That don't even make sense to me, bruh. That don't even make sense to me. So we can dive into that a little bit. But we're also gonna talk about the Packers. Let me see, my man Rick Ellison, because we just seen MVS cook the Bucks, and without an overthrow from Rodgers, he might have gone for 180 plus on him. Yeah. Now replace MVS with Tyreek and Kelsey. But here's the thing though, and here's something that was a little under. I feel like a lot of people weren't talking about it, and I didn't even know going into the game, NFC Championship game, that the Buccaneers were missing their 2 starting safeties, and I believe they will be getting those 2 players back for the Super Bowl. So that could make a big difference. I think that could make a really big difference. And yeah, I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Rodgers should have done some things differently. Hit some players that he missed. Some players that he did hit. Coulda held on to the ball. You know what I'm saying? The Packers didn't run the ball defensively. There's a lot of things that could have went better. But all I know is all year the Chiefs been playing with fire. They've been, taking it easy, getting off the slow starts. Mahomes is susceptible, as I've mentioned in previous episodes. Mahomes had the most dropped interceptions of anybody this year. 16 dropped interceptions, bro. That is a very big number of interceptions that he dropped. So, and this defense is pretty good at creating turnovers. I mean, they got Rodgers. Now, you could say there was some pass interference, but at the end of the day, they did get one off Rodgers. They created some turnovers. This defense is very, very turnover. They generate a lot of turnovers. Yes, but Antoine Winfield Jr. is actually better in the run game and worse in the passing game than his replacer Edward is. I mean, yeah, you can say that, but I mean, he's a starter for a reason. And he's still young. Like, he's a rookie. So, maybe more opportunities and more snaps will allow him to continue to grow. I mean, sometimes guys, they able to develop on the fly. And his daddy played in the NFL. His daddy played safety at a very high level. So I like Antoine Winfield Jr.'s game. I know he's kind of a box safety, but what about the other guy? I haven't really watched them all year, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything about their roster. But, I mean, they was the starters, and you the starters for a reason. So I just have to believe, like, if you don't got your starters out there, your defense is going to not be at the same level. So I'm just going based off that. I'm not knocking them, good player. I just think the Chiefs passing game is going to absolutely feast on that young secondary. But, I mean, we've seen the Chiefs passing game get, like, I don't want to say exploited, but we've seen the Chiefs passing game get off the slow starts, and we've seen the Chiefs passing game not take advantage of secondaries before. And we've seen the Chiefs passing game, like I said, by way of Patrick Mahomes putting the ball into harm's way, fail this team and not be this explosive all-world unit that we know they can be. So I just think, like, I'm not even talking about the matchups. I'm just saying off breaks, off Bucks, just looking at this, for them to say that Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are underdog at home seems a little ridiculous. But I'm going to take a quick 60-second ad break. Let's see if this joint actually run. Because, sometimes I like to go to the ad breaks and then they don't actually run. They just make me look like a fool, and they hit me with the punt fake. I'm gonna take a quick little 60-second ad break and be right back after that. This is the What's Packin' Sports Show on Godchild TV. Let's see what happened. Nope. See? It didn't run. See, look, man. It didn't even run. So now I look like a fool because I waited all that time. So let's just keep it rocking, man. Rick LM says, either way, I don't care who wins. This matchup was the most boring thing that could have happened. I wanted the Bills after the Packers were out. Why is it boring, though? I mean, in what kind of way is it going to be boring? What do you mean it's going to be boring? I mean, are you really just hate Tom Brady? Are you just not a Tom Brady fan? You really must not be a Tom Brady fan. You a Tom Brady hater? You don't want to see, you're not a fan of greatness, Rick LM. You don't want to see Tom Brady do something that's like never ever even been fathomed before. Like no one even, like 6 was incredible. 9 appearances was just other level. But 10 appearances and 7 potentially Super Bowls, I mean, fuck, man. That is just, that's like, honestly, I don't know if anybody will ever be able to match what Tom Brady's doing. Like, I mean, 7, all the MVPs, he'll probably get Super Bowl MVP, like all the regular season MVPs. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And I mean, I'm with you. I like the underdog story too. I mean, I think America, right? I think America, we kind of, because we started out as the underdog, like as a country, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we all love a good underdog story. But then we became this superpower, and we're like one of the biggest military powers in the world, and we got Hollywood, and that's like we like 2 of the top 5 or 10 biggest GPDs in the world. We're freaking got all this wealth, and we're like the big freaking the big dog on the block, you know what I'm saying? So I think we also like to see people be dominant, and I'm definitely one of those. I like an underdog story every now and then, but I'm also like a fan of greatness, bro. And I love to see people just be great, and I love to see people like achieve that. And what Tom Brady is doing is greatness to a whole nother level. And I mean, hey, if he can do something like that, 7 Super Bowls, I mean, I feel like we all getting lucky right now to witness it the same way people felt like witnessing Jim Brown or witnessing Babe Ruth or witnessing Muhammad Ali or Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're being able to witness the greatest, like honestly, at this point, I feel like Tom Brady is the greatest football player. I would honestly put him over Jim Brown and LT, like, and anybody else you want to put on that like pedestal of not just positional or era. I'm talking about the greatest football player. And honestly, he wins this 7th one. I think Tom Brady goes into like a new echelon where he legit deserves his own like room in the Hall of Fame. I feel like his bust should be separated from all the other busts. Like, it shouldn't even be in with everybody. He should have his own room inside the Hall of Fame. And now he enters the conversation of like greatest champions ever, or like greatest fucking like sports figures in the history of sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he really is that incredible, man. I really think so. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, there's definitely, I mean, Tom Brady is the underdog. You said you like underdogs, like then you should be rooting for Tom Brady because he's the underdog. And to go from the Patriots and then go to a team in the Buccaneers that were 7-9 the year before, or 9-7 the year before, didn't make the playoffs, had a terrible defense, and now he's got them in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's an underdog story, and he's proven to everybody who doubted him. Once again, A, don't doubt me, and B, I tried to tell people I was the top dog in that New England situation. And now Tom Brady's saying, look at me now, bitches. Look at me now. I woke up in a new Bugatti in Tampa, baby. So I think it's gonna be a very entertaining Super Bowl. I really do think it's gonna be entertaining, man. Rick Atlanta says, I guess Tom Brady is a GOAT, but I'm not putting much stock into this one. He got to pick where he want, pick the team with a ton of weapons and the top defense, and they won. Bro, this defense was not good last year, man. Even though I and my man Tactical Illusion, who got fired from the Packers. Tactical Illusion, thank you for joining the chat. And we can pivot to that real quick. We can get back to the Tom Brady situation because I did say Packers fired 2 head coaches, and Tactical Illusion said, who that? And Tactical Illusion, the Packers fired their special team head coach, Son Mahegana, Magana or some shit. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but the special team head coach got fired, and then they also got rid of Mike Pettin, the defensive coordinator. So, but even though like technically his contract was up, you know what I'm saying? So they didn't fire him. They just didn't re-sign him to a contract. And I think, it's interesting. I talked about it on the show. I think it was Monday or maybe Wednesday, about whether I thought Pettin did enough to actually save his job, or if I thought Pettin was going to get fired or get rehired, or like just gave my thoughts on Mike Pettin. And, the last couple of years, I don't think he really did enough with the talent around him. Or at least that was my original like thought process. It's like, man, he had enough talent to be more successful with this team. But then after you see how like Kevin King got toasted all year basically, and how he got toasted in the NFC Championship game, and then you saw how like Chandon Sullivan and Kadar Homan, how they really didn't play that well, and then you saw how even just adding Snacks Harrison late in the year helped them take their defensive line to another level. And Harrison is kind of like, I'm not gonna say he's just not what he used to be, and he's like, he was brand new to the scheme and everything, and he was still able to like, I think, show a marketable improvement to this team. So that to me says that Dean Lowry and Tyler Lancaster, the other 2 linemen who were next to Kiki and Kenny Clark, like, to me it says that they really aren't that good. So, and he had to find some middle linebackers. They finally got some middle linebackers, okay, in this young kid, Kamal Martin and Chris Barnes and Christian Kirksey. Like, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the Packers have not really had good middle linebacker play. Now, I did like Blake Martinez, you know what I'm saying? But I think we can tell the difference between Blake Martinez, Chris Barnes, and Kamal Martin. And they were actually able to run 2 linebackers this year. Last year and the year before that, Mike Pettin didn't have the linebackers, didn't have the personnel to actually play good run defense. So this year, instead of doing that 1 linebacker and running majority dime and nickel formation, he was actually able to put 2 linebackers in the game at times. And they were able to stop the run and even play things in the middle of the defense a lot better. So, I mean, I think if Patton had an opportunity to maybe be with these guys one more year, and maybe say they had another draft class or brought in maybe a free agent that could have come in and filled that cornerback slot opposite of Jair Alexander, because Jair Alexander is hands down, bar none, the best cornerback in football, if you ask me. Like, after his performance in the NFC Championship game, basically shutting his receivers down, getting his hand on 2 interceptions, and just, like I said, being the bank of Ja, he was open for business. So I can't tell you how excited I am for next year and how this secondary can develop in the next year. Like, even Darnell, don't call him average Savage, as I like to call him. He developed so much from last year to this year. And then Adrian Amos Like, did you know that Darnell, don't call him average Savage, and Adrian Amos were the two highest graded safety tandems in the NFL? I want to get a competent man corner to pair with Jair and then get a DC that plays aggressive man-to-man. And I did see your comment, Rick LM, about the defense having the number one run D last year in Tampa Bay. But they gave up a lot of points. I mean, stopping the run is good, but if you're going to give up points, that's not stopping the run is just like a nice little pat on the back. But if you're going to give up a whole bunch of yards and points, then that shit really don't mean nothing. I agree, though. And I agree with you said, though, about Jair and wanting to get a lockdown like man cover cornerback to put on the other side with Jair. I think that would really be like that's kind of what you wanted. I mean, that's like ideal. That's an ideal situation. You know what I mean? And just play aggressive man like two under, right? I think that's what it's called, like cover two with like man underneath and zone over top. You know, you have your two safeties in the back, and you might have maybe like a nickel defender. You can play like quarters defense, but your two outside guys would be Jair and whoever else, and they would just basically play man like 90 or 80% of the time, and then you'll have like your safety and maybe a nickel defender, or you'll have maybe your linebacker. Your linebackers will be in some kind of zone underneath the middle, and basically just the middle of the field is covered by your safeties and your linebacker or your nickel defender, and then you just have Jair and whoever else playing strong man defense on the outside. You get that pass rush with Preston and Za'Darius. Maybe Preston won't be back. Maybe Preston could reschedule. Reschedule. Preston might restructure his contract. And that's another thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to get into that next week, man. Let me just give y'all a quick preview of what I got coming up next week. And let me write this down real quick. Jair and additional. Next week, man, we're going to do some more Super Bowl talk and shit like that, but we also going to start getting into the draft, and we're going to start looking at the Packers salary cap situation. And if anybody else, honestly, has other teams, because I know it's not just Packers fans who watch me, but so if anybody else has a team that they want me to kind of preview for their draft situation or look at their salary cap and give my opinions on what I think they might do in free agency or this offseason, let me know in the comments below. Shoot me a little DM or message me on Twitter, or, you know what I'm saying, reach out to me somehow, man, because I'll definitely look into other teams. This isn't just a Packers show. This is predominantly a Packers show, but this is also a sports show. What's Packin' Sports Show. So, you know, and I love football in general. So if it's other people out there who follow who aren't Packers fans, I don't care. You could be Bears, Lions, you could be divisional rivals, anything. I will talk about the draft and what I think that your team might do in the draft, and we can look at the cap situation, because next week I'm going to have a special guest on the show, somebody that I follow on Twitter, and he is a draft freak. He absorbs, he consumes the draft like a black hole, just sucking in all the draft information. And he is excited to come on the show and talk about the draft. He watches film, he watches the game, and he does mock drafts and stuff like that. So I'm excited to share that with y'all next week, man. Starting next week, we're going to really get heavily into the draft talk, man. So I hope y'all excited for that. Let me just read some comments. Yes, please preview how the Bears are still going to suck for the Brazzle Dazzle. Rick LM, great idea. I will do that indeed. But to get back to what we were saying about the defensive coordinator, and even another man quarter. I mean, let me ask you, what do you think the Packers are going to do now? Currently, the Packers are like $30-something million over the cap, so they're in the negative. So I'm not sure if they're going to be able, and depending on what they do, you know, as far as like, can they restructure guys or letting guys go or trading guys? There's some different ways that they can actually give themselves more cap space. So I think they'll be able to go after a mid-level free agent, or maybe like a big name free agent that is a little bit older or maybe coming off an injury or something, or for some reason, they may not be able to get as much as they would like to get in the free agency market because they're a little bit older, or maybe they're coming off an injury, or just because from what I'm hearing, the salary cap is going to not be as high as teams were hoping or anticipating because of COVID and the lost revenue that they that they missed out on because of not having any fans in the stands, and that generates hundreds of millions of dollars for the league, maybe fucking billions of dollars for the league every year. So then they didn't have the preseason games. So the salary cap isn't going to be nearly as big as they thought. And a lot of teams actually are in a deficit when it comes to their salary cap situation. So, but there are still a lot of players. There's still a lot of players that are going to be free agents. So I think this upcoming free agency year is going to be it's going to be a buyer's market for like free agents and acquiring free agents, because there's not going to be that much money, but guys, they're not going to sit out for a year. You know what I mean? Someone's got to sign them, whether it's their own team or whether they want to get out of their team situation and go to a new team. But they have to understand that the money isn't there like it traditionally is. So I think some guys are going to maybe just settle for like maybe short-term deals, 2 years, or maybe guys will just settle for like a 1 year prove-it deal, or like a 1 year, hey, fully guaranteed 1 year deal until 2020 when the salary cap is going to skyrocket again, because don't forget they're adding a 17th game this year. So that money from that extra game, one extra game for the NFL could generate $900 million or $1 billion. We don't even know. But that extra game is going to be added to next year's salary cap. So it'll jump probably maybe to like 200 million or some shit, or 190 million or some crazy shit next year. And they also are in the process of doing a new CBA, collective bargaining agreement. I think the current one expires this year. So there's going to be some interesting stuff going on in the NFL, man. Not just salary cap. Not just like free agency wise. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this new CBA, what the players are going to ask for, what the coaches are going to try to ask for. I'm already hearing rumors that they might try to get rid of preseason altogether, or they might try to, make it so that these guys don't even have to practice as much in the off season, like OTAs and mini training camps and all that kind of shit. Like it's going to be interesting to see how they collectively bargain this next agreement, and the money and just all the implications it could have on the game, man. And I tell you what, if they cut the practices down, or they take out the preseason games, like I'm all for taking out the preseason games or making it just 2 preseason games, but like these guys need to practice, man. And I think if they do something like that, because I was talking to the guy, the Twitter, the Packers fan that I'm gonna bring on next week to talk about the draft and the salary cap more in depth. Like he was saying that he was hearing they might take away all that preseason shit, and teams and players won't even report to camp until like the second week of July or some crazy shit. I have no idea who we even want for a DC. See if Rex Ryan wants to come out of his No. And that's a good question, man. That's a good question. Like, that's a good little segue, man. Like, who should Green Bay look at for DC? Because they actually already did hire a new special teams coach. They hired somebody from within the organization, some dude I never heard of and nobody even knows. But honestly, I don't mind if you hire some dude I never heard of as your special teams coordinator. I'm not that like worried, because it's fucking special teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only times you really care about special teams if it's the worst in the league, like the Packers had last year, or if it's one of the best in the league, which I don't know when the last time the Packers had one of the best special teams in the league, but it's been a while. And this is so I'm trying to look up who the top candidates might be for defensive coordinator positions. Positions in NFL. And I'm on GameHouse.com. The Game Haus, the GameHouse.com, and it's saying NFL defensive coordinator candidates for the 2021 season. And Aaron Glenn, defensive back coach for the New Orleans Saints. The premier defensive coach that is receiving a lot of attention this offseason from coaching searches has been former cornerback Aaron Glenn. And I do remember that name. Since taking over the Saints defensive back coaching job in 2016, New Orleans has been a factory for talented defensive backs. The great defensive backs the Saints have drafted and coached up include Von Bell, LaShawn Matamore, Marcus Williams, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. The Saints have also signed Patrick Robinson, Janoris Jenkins, and Eli Apple. All right, best fits. They don't mention the Packers. Terrell Austin, defensive assistant and secondary coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was never really a fan of Rex Ryan. I mean, Rex Ryan, I'll say this. I know he's been a part of some really great defenses in the past. You know what I'm saying? He was a part of those Ravens defenses, and then he had the Jets. But after he didn't have like Darrelle Revis and shit, like his defenses kind of went down the tank. And then him and his brother teamed up in Buffalo, I think, right? Then they team up in Buffalo. And I mean, you have both Ryans on the same team, and you would think like, okay, you guys should be able to have like the number one defense. And I just remember they weren't really that successful. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Rex Ryan, he's been removed from the game, and I feel like he's from an older era. You know what I mean? Like they learned a lot of what they do defensively. They kind of learned it from their daddy, Buddy Ryan, or whatever the fuck his name was, with the Jets and the Ravens. And then I think he coached the Bills at one point too, didn't he? Like, didn't he coach the Bills though? Like, I thought he was like the head coach of the Bills for like a second, for like a hot second. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills from 2015 to 2016. So he only lasted like, 1 year? Or maybe 2 at the most. Yeah, 1 year. So he didn't do a very good job. But yeah, he was the coordinator for that all-time great Ravens, 2000 Ravens defense. I mean, he was a coordinator there when the Ravens, when they won their first Super Bowl. And, but he also had like a shit ton of Hall of Famers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like talent matters, and that was one of the reasons why I was surprised. Or not necessarily surprised, but I think that was one of the reasons why it was hard to really gauge just how effective of a defensive coordinator Mike Pettin is, because I think this year, yeah, he had good talent, and I think last year when they brought on the Smith brothers and they brought Adrian Amos and they drafted Darnell Savage, like the last year was the first year, for those guys, and then this was like the second year for everybody. And you can see down the stretch, like he finally started to figure out how to use his personnel, and he finally started to figure out what adjustments he needed to make based on like what teams were doing to his defense. And I mean, the way that he turned around this team and they were able to like stop the run and get turnovers in the passing game. I mean, if it wasn't for Kevin King, like if they just had one more decent cornerback, or even like a B+ cornerback, or something, like maybe they win that game even more convincingly, because you don't have a Kevin King that you can just pick on in that defensive unit. So when Rex Ryan didn't have like Hall of Famers all over the place, his defenses really weren't that great. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how I feel about bringing Rex Ryan back. Did he though? I read that the Packers went to him and begged him to call the defense a certain way. Yeah, the Packers players, they did. I mean, the players, I don't say they begged him. I just think they went to him and they were like, look, coach, okay, we need to have a talk. this shit ain't working, bro. But that's what good coaches do. Like, these are grown men, okay? And they've been playing football their whole lives, and they're not dumb either. Good coaches listen to their players, especially the good ones. And, I mean, good coaches will listen to the players, and if you have really good players that are telling you something, you should definitely listen to them. So, I mean, but he still has to, and again, I'm not a Micah Pettin apologist, and I'm not saying like, oh, I think the Packers made a mistake. I'm just saying, if he would have had, like, I mean, basically he had 3 lame duck. He had 1 stud cornerback, right, Jair Alexander, but the rest of the cornerbacks were like lame ducks. You know what I'm saying? And like this league, the way that it's panned, the way it's designed, like you can't have 1 star cornerback and 3 lame duck cornerbacks and like expect to be able to be as efficient as you need to be against the pass. To be honest, I was hoping Zimmer was going to get the axe. Oh, yeah. And I definitely think the Packers would have reached out to Mike Zimmer if he got fired. Which honestly could have played into the fact that why they didn't fire him. They're like, well, we don't want this guy to go to the Packers, because the Packers actually hired the Vikings secondary coach, Jerry Gray, and I think he made a big difference. It took a while for what he was teaching them to kind of catch on, but down the stretch, you could really see how everything that he implemented and what he was teaching these guys, how like they really started to pick it up, and I think it really made a big difference. So so let me finish reading the rest of these names, right? Defensive coordinator, because I don't really know. I'm not sure who they should pick up. I'm not even sure who's out there. I'm not even sure if they don't just promote somebody that they already have on their team. You know what I mean? But I gotta think that Matt LaFleur, he probably. I'm thinking that they might not actually promote from within, because I know when Matt LaFleur was hired, he wanted to bring in a guy from outside to be the DC, and the Packers sort of urged him not to do that. So I'm gonna take a quick 60-second. I'm gonna do a quick 60-second ad break, and then we get back. We'll go through the rest of the list of these eligible 2021 D coordinators, and talk about maybe who I think they might pick up. Let's see. Cut to commercial break. No, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say about these commercial breaks. But Rick Lim says, to be honest, I was hoping. Okay, we already read that. So let me just. I think maybe I've ran so many ads that they don't have to actually show the ads. I don't know how it's working or why it doesn't actually go to the ad. But anyways, or you know what? Maybe it's because, am I signed in? I am signed in as my own name. Let me sign out. I don't want to be looking at it as myself. I want to look at it as an outsider. All right. So anyways, let's see. And you tell me, Rick LM or whoever else is in the chat, you tell me if any of these names sound like good names to you. The first name was Aaron Glenn, defensive back coach for the New Orleans Saints. He's actually a New Orleans Saints defensive back coach. Aaron Glenn for the New Orleans Saints. He's actually a former player. Terrell Austin, I know that name. I've heard that name before. He's the senior defensive assistant and secondary coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A coach who has interviewed for multiple head coaching jobs over the years and has disappeared as of late. Since 2019, Austin has been an assistant secondary coach for the Steelers. Over the last 2 seasons, the Steelers have also led the league in sacks, and he had been carried by their strong defense. Before his time in Pittsburgh, Austin coached the Super Bowl Ravens defense and a dominant Detroit Lions secondary from 2014 to 2017. Since 2014, Austin has interviewed for 10 different head coaching vacancies and has been considered for 11 jobs. A team who wants immediate results on that side of the ball should bring Austin into their staff as D coordinator. I kind of like this guy, this Terrell Austin guy. I know that the Steelers have a really good secondary. Aaron Glenn was already hired by the Lions. Oh, shit. Okay. See, there you go. Inside information by my man Rick L.M. I like this Terrell Austin guy because I also like that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had a really good secondary over the past couple of years. And I just like that organization. I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers remind me of the Packers organization, the way they do business, the way they run the way they run things. So I feel like bringing in an outside guy who's already kind of similar to that kind of culture, or can like reinforce the culture that the Packers want to make their like hang their hat on, or you know, or maybe bring in some new ideas. You know what I'm saying? Like from another winning culture. I think that would be a good addition to the locker room. So I kind of like the idea of this Terrell Austin guy. And former head coaches now they're saying who could be defensive coordinators. Matt Patricia, of course, but I'm not really. I'm over the Matt Patricia thing. Like a lot of the Belichick guys haven't worked out as head coaches or when they leave and go other places. So I'm good on Matt Patricia. Romeo Crennel, who did not get hired as the Houston Texans head coach. You said 3-3-5 is going to be the new hot defense. And that's an interesting point that you bring up, because that was like after I finished this list, I actually want to talk about should the Packers switch to a new defense. So here we go. Romeo Crennel. What do you think about Romeo Crennel? He's always had pretty good defenses, and he's also like done pretty good as interim head coach in a few spots. I know Roman Crennel is a nice. I mean, he's 73 though. Right, so he could contemplate retirement. Wow, he could contemplate retirement, and he's 73. But his defenses, and I feel like the NFL is changing and shifting offensively, and as younger coaches start to get these jobs, head coaches and offensive coordinators, with the exception of like Andy Reid. I feel like you need young minds. I feel like older minds at the DC position, unless you're like a top-notch guy like a Zimmer, and even a Crennel kind of gets into that category. But even still, like I feel like after a while, like you kind of exhaust your wisdom there. You know what I'm saying? Like you need somebody who doesn't really have that influence from a year from yesteryear to be able to coordinate your defense for today. So I don't really want like an old guy. I mean, I didn't see how old Daryl Austin is. Let me see how old or Terrell Austin. I'm gonna see if I can look this guy up. Let me see how old he is. But he looks like he might be like in his 40s. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he's 55, which still isn't that bad. You know, he grew up kind of. You know, he cut his teeth. You know, probably in the 90s, right? You know what I'm saying? As a coach in Penn State and the Bengals and Pittsburgh. So 55. I'm thinking like anywhere from like 40 to 55. I mean, that's not bad. 55 years old isn't bad for a DC. Like he's still kind of young enough to be able to like have some of these new concepts. Raheem Morris is another list on here. He should be considered a legitimate head coach candidate after what he did with the Atlanta Falcons after they fired Dan Quinn. The team may have went 4-7, but they were competitive in most of their games. The Falcons lost by 8 points or less in 5 of their losses under Morris. Yeah, that's not head coach material, but that's definitely, you know, good DC material. Dan Quinn. And coordinators who were on a staff with the fired head coach. Gus Bradley, defensive coordinator, Los Angeles Chargers. But the coach got fired, so most likely when new coaches come in, they usually like to choose their guys. As of right now, Gus Bradley is still slated to be the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. This means the team would have to ask Chargers permission to interview Bradley for a defensive coordinator position. It's unlikely that the Chargers will let Bradley go unless the next head coach is a defensive specialist or brings in a better defensive coordinator. Greg Williams, who I don't like him either. Coaches who could return to the NFL after 1+ years away. Wade Phillips, Chris Richards, Lovie Smith, Marvin Lewis. Wow. What would you think about bringing in Lovie Smith to be the DC for the Packers? Ex-Chicago Bear head coach Lovie Smith. He's a head coach right now for the Illinois football team, college team. Oh, he got fired too. Wow. I don't know if I want to pick up a guy who got fired from his head coaching job as a college head coach. Like, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. Even though I like the beard, he's got a nice gray beard. That is a good look on him. But from this list, I'm liking this Terrell Austin guy. Lovie Smith is going to be the Texans. He's going to the Texans. Okay. So look at you, man. My man Rick LM might have to make you like stats and information guy. Along with like Court Jester, because you got all the jokes. I like from this list, like I said, I like this Terrell Austin. I like Terrell. I like that name. I like what he's done with the players in Pittsburgh, and he has like, you know, he's got like a nice track record, a nice resume. But aside from that, man, talk to me about this. Talk to me about this. About this 3-3-5. I'm not really sure what that is. I mean, I know like 4-3 and I know 3-4. You know what I mean? I remember back in the day, teams used to even run a 5-2 and shit like that. Some teams ran shit like that. But talk to me about defensive changes that the Packers might make, man. You said this 3-3-5 is going to be the new hot defense? Like, okay, that's what Carolina runs. And is Carolina like the one team that really like runs it? And Iowa runs it too in college. Okay, like why is the 3-3-5 becoming popular? And I do remember Carolina, they played the Packers pretty well. You know what I'm saying? They played them pretty well. Carolina confused the hell out of Rodgers. Yes, exactly. 3-3-5. 3-3-5. 3 linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. I mean, yeah. Why do you say the Packers don't have they don't have the personnel for it? Is it because like because Kadar Homan and Sullivan aren't really good? Fast, rangy linebackers. I think the Packers have that, honestly. I think the Packers have that. I mean, if you have Kirksey in the middle, okay, 2 monster DTs. So then, what would you? Okay, so let's talk this out. So Z and Preston and Gary are 3. Yeah, okay, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. So in a 3-3-5, you have 2 monster. Like, what is the lineup like? Yeah, you have 3 down linemen. Like, so you have 2 monster guys and then like 1 edge rusher. Is that what that's like? And I would say it's not just the fact that Z and Preston are 3-4 guys. I would say then you would also have an issue with trying to fill out all 5 defensive backs, because I mean that was clearly the problem in Tampa Bay, is that Jair is good, Amos is good, Savage is good, but those other 2 defensive backs were not good. So, I mean, you'd have to get 2 more defensive backs. The 3-3-5 weakness is the run, so you need 2 DTs that can absolutely control the line and gaps. So, yeah, so who did the Panthers use? And like, who's the third guy? Like, is the third guy like a typical like rusher? Like, could you put Z on the line as the third guy in that 3-3-5, or would you want it to be somebody that's more of like a DN in the 3-3-5? I feel like that's also got to be like an area code or something. Shout out anybody in the 3-3-5. If that's the area code where you live, shout out to you. Shout out to the 3-3-5s out there. So what did they? So they have 2 monster D tackles, and then like, what's the third guy? Because I was actually, yeah, good. You didn't see that. Because honestly, I wanted to ask the question, or I was questioning, like I was thinking the other day, like, should the Packers switch to a 4-3? Ah, yes, Brian Burns. Yeah. Yeah, Gary would be our guy. What do you think about the Packers playing a 4-3? 4 down linemen, three running back. I mean 3 linebackers, but Z and Preston are kind of out cold. And I agree. You wouldn't use Z and Preston in that 3-3-5. But could you use Z, Preston, and Gary in a 4-3 as your edge guys? You know? I'm talking about you would have like Kiki. You'd have to convert Z. But I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Like Preston to me kind of has the prototypical frame for a edge defender, for a defensive end. He's got really long arms. He's not like super bendy, you know what I'm saying? But he's got the arms. He's got like some strength, and I think that's really his strength, or what he does best is just rushing the passer. You know, like I feel like sometimes having him in space is his weakness. Even as your 3-4 outside linebacker, most of the time he was rushing the passer. But this year, Pettin had him dropping into coverage a lot and playing off and like in like zone and shit. Like, so I'm thinking if you have, but then again, I'm honestly thinking like Preston might not even be on the team next year. Preston is balls off the line. His saving grace was getting a good jump on the stance. Okay, this year he jumped too much. Okay, all right, but I'm saying for that, to your point though, Preston is balls off the line. What if Preston's not even on the team next year? What if they trade Preston to another team, like maybe the New England Patriots? Because, as you said, the Packers really need another shutdown corner on the other side. And I was thinking like Stephon Gilmore for the New England Patriots. They thought about trying to deal him this year. I'm thinking the Packers could send Preston Smith and maybe like a third to the Patriots and try to take Gilmore off their hands. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that's possible? And then you would have Gilmore and Gilmore and Ja. You'll probably keep like Sullivan maybe, or one of those guys as the nickel guy, and maybe even draft another dude like in the 2nd or 3rd round. And then you have Amos and Savage. Those would be your secondary. And then your outside linebackers or your edge guys, right? If you switch to a 4-3, right? Your edge guys would be Z and Gary. And then you'd have Kiki and Clark, and maybe you even draft somebody else. And then you have Kirksey and Kamal and Chris Barnes. Now, that's not a bad little setup. To go 4-3, we'd have to get fast pass rushing DTs to pair with Kenny, and you move Gary and Z to the defensive ends. Yeah, you need well, yeah. Do you think that Barnes or Martin could play those positions and Kirksey could stay in the middle? Kirksey could stay in the middle, and Barnes and Kamal Martin. I mean, those dudes are fast. And I know, like in a 4-3, you kind of want those outside linebackers to be able to kind of, you know, they're fast and they like to hit. They're physical at the point of attack, and they're fast. Kamal and Barnes aren't really as good in coverage as you want for a 4-3. They could get better. They are rooks after all, but they might not. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Honestly, I'm really thinking, because one of the reasons that the Packers liked Kamal Martin coming out of Minnesota was because he was a hitter, and they liked what they saw on tape from him in coverage. And he's got the speed. He's definitely got the speed to play in coverage. But really, like you said, if you've got those 2 D tackles and those edge rushers, and you've got your middle linebacker, that's really your run defense right there. I mean, Barnes and Martin are both like fast enough, I think. But being rookies, like you said, I just think they probably need a little more time to get used to the speed of the game, to learn. Now, if you now switch to a 4-3, they would now be learning a whole new position, which could, technically set them back a year development-wise. But I think the biggest thing for players is like the speed of the game and just kind of learning a whole new routine and never playing. Like, they've never even played this much football before. When you think about it, like from Pop Warner to high school to college, like you're playing maybe 10, 12 games at the most, if you're lucky to make it to a bowl game. But like in football, like you're playing 18 weeks, 16 games or whatever, 17 weeks, 16 games, then plus the postseason, plus they didn't have any offseason training. So I think those guys could get a lot better, and I think we could see marketable improvement from year 1 to year 2, just in like conditioning and dissecting and being more comfortable on the field. Kirksey definitely has to go if we're in 4-3. You need an absolute monster middle linebacker for 4-3. Wagner, Kuechly, or... I mean, when you say monster, you mean just like talent-wise, or just like, what do you think? Why don't you think? I mean, because down the stretch, though, Kirksey played better. Like, everybody played better down the stretch. That's my thing. Everybody played better down the stretch. You know what I was also thinking, too? Like, what... I know that what's my man's name? J.J. Watt. I know he's gonna be potentially available as well. Speed, instincts, talent. Yeah, I feel you. That's not really like, but do you think Kirksey could like? Because I mean, that was sort of the book on him, right? Like that was sort of his selling points. What you just said. Faster than Martinez, good instincts. Good hitter. He was just coming off a really serious knee injury. So do you think it's possible that it took him a while to knock some rust off? Because I feel like the last couple of games he definitely played like noticeably better. He played more like what we thought he would play like coming into the season. Kirksey's way too slow. I don't think he was any faster than Blake. Maybe. I don't know. I have to really. But was that more so because he was like injured and shit? Yeah. Hey, I'm just speaking. I'm just trying to be, I guess, not optimistic, but I'm really trying to exhaust the whole conversation. And I want to have a full conversation about it. And I kind of agree with you though. Like I think he wasn't as advertised. He definitely wasn't as advertised. Nah, it was because he couldn't process the plays quick enough. Yeah, so I mean, he wasn't as advertised, and that was another big disappointment because I thought the whole point of bringing him in was because he already had familiarity with the Mike Pettin system. So if he couldn't even process that shit, that's really kind of sad, Like he already knew it, and then you still couldn't process it quick enough, like. And that also kind of says, like, what does that say about Pettin? Like, you thought this guy was going to be good. You had him already once, right? Like, he never struggled with this, like, in Cleveland. So, maybe it's really good they did get rid of Pettin. But now it's all like who they bring in. And then it's also like, so it sounds like to me, you think they're going to just stick with this 3-4, which has been serving them pretty well. And they just need to get some upgrades. Or would you like to see them? You think that 3-3-5 is going to be new hot defense, okay? They'd have to really overhaul their roster to run the 3-3-5. I think it would take less overhaul to switch to a 4-3. But clearly they have the 3-4 pieces. Do you think the 3-4 is still a good defense, or do you think that it's worth an overhaul, or it's worth kind of like a retooling? Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's a fair assessment. They didn't think he was gonna really be that good. Just they thought maybe he could be just as good as Blake, but at half the price. Which hey, I don't blame him. But we absolutely need to upgrade our DEs, Lowry and Lancaster. Yeah, I feel you, bro. Stay with the 3-4 for now. Upgrade Lowry and Lancaster. I'm with you there. Would you bring in JJ Watt to play DN like in a 3-4? Because doesn't Houston run a 4-3? Do you think JJ Watt could be a DN in a 3-4, or you think he's kind of just cut out for one specific kind of scheme? Because I think he'll take a pay cut to come home and play for the Packers and be on a legit Super Bowl contender. And I know he's like fed up with the Texans, and Deshaun Watson is definitely probably going to leave. Yeah, I feel you. You meant to say the DNs and the 3-4s are more. You meant to say DNs in 3-4s are more run stoppers, but the 4-3 is all about edge. But that's what I'm saying. Do you think that? My question is, and I know Watt has been that sort of edge rusher guy most of his career, but he's also been really good against the run. He's been an all-around just really good defender. That's what I meant. But I'm saying you put 3-4 twice, is what I'm saying. If you look at what you type, the DNs and the 3-4 are more run stoppers, which is what I think you meant, right? Lowry and Lancaster. But you meant to say in a 4-3, it's all about your edge guys. Or did you mean when you said edge guys, you meant like outside linebackers? I mean, because some people call outside linebackers edge guys now. Because, I mean, the way they put their hand in the dirt. I mean, in this year, look at what they did this year with Zadarius. Zadarius had his hand in the dirt a lot this year. JJ wouldn't fit well in 3-4 anymore, I don't think. Yeah. I meant JJ isn't a good DN. Okay, that's what you meant. Okay. Yeah, I was a little confused by what you were trying to say there. Yeah, but I mean, I think that Zadarius is a very versatile guy. I mean, I know he doesn't like to play the run. I know he likes to get after the passer, but I mean, look what they did with Zadarius this year. They had him in the dirt. They had him all over the place. They kind of rushed him from D tackle. I mean, they had him doing lots of different things. But, I'm just trying to think about different moves they can make, man, and maybe how they can improve this defense. So what do you think they really need to do? Do you have your eye on any free agents? I haven't looked too much at the free agent list for DEs or edge guys or front seven guys. And the only cornerback I really know out there is like I said, Gilmore. And I wonder what you think about their chances of getting a guy like Gilmore or who else out there. I'm gonna run another ad break and I'm gonna go use the potty. I'm gonna go take a tinkle and I'll be back in a second. All right. So we're back. We're getting ready to, we're headed into the last portion of the show here. Probably going to get off at, was it 1:30? And I got some more editing and stuff to do, but I was curious. Let me see if I can look up. I can even look up like free agents, top NFL free agent prospects 2021. Dalvin Tomlinson, maybe. I'd be way more happy getting Lavonte David though. Yeah, Lavonte David. That's the dude from Tampa Bay, right? That's the guy from Tampa Bay, isn't it? What the fuck? I don't want the draft prospects, man. Okay, he's a free agent, and I heard he's like in his 7th year, so you know, maybe he'll be a cap casualty. In a top NFL. Oh, let me see, free agency. That's why. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, so well, we would have Barnes and yeah, I guess, you know, they still like to do that nickel. So, yeah, you'd have 2 linebackers on the field. You can put Barnes and Martin, one of those 2 guys, and then plus Lavonte David. Then you have Gary and Z, and then some linemen. I really think they got to go after the linemen, man. I really think the lineman is to me, is still the biggest place where they could, like, see the most improvement, you know? If you had a better pieces around Clark, I think really, like, I mean, they're saying, I mean, like, and let's even talk about some of these other people. Like, do you think that, like, Dak Prescott is gonna? What do you think is gonna happen with Dak, man? If I were, man, let me tell you what. As interested as I'm in what the Packers are gonna do. You know, with Lavonte David, we could definitely start making a 3-3-5. Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. So, do you think that they should stick to the 3-4? Or do you think that in today's NFL, the 3-3-5 or the 4-3 would be the better defense to be in? You know what I'm saying? Like which do you think is actually like the better defense for today's NFL? Killer Crazy, what's packing? People, welcome back, Killer Crazy 313. Nice to see your face, even though I can't see your face. Nice to see your name. My man Rick Ellen said if we bring in Lavonte David, we could start making our way. So like, but okay, so you have the linebacker pieces, but now you still got to draft basically 2 more defensive linemen, you know? Because like you said, Preston is kind of like, you said we can definitely start mixing 3-3-5 or 4-3-3 in. Oh, mixing it in. Okay, I see what you mean. It just depends on the personnel. Just having a guy like Devontae makes it easier to have a hybrid defense than Lavonte. Yeah, I see what you mean. Kind of how like they really run a lot of nickel and corner and shit. Nickel and dime. Do something hybrid. So let's just say you add in Lavonte David, right? How would you hybridize this current defense into a 3-3-5? Like, how would you do that? Would you put Z on the line next to Kenny and like somebody else, and then have Lavonte David and a linebacker and then like Gary or some shit? Or would you put Gary on the line and then have Z? But like you said, man, that really leaves Z out. Would you try to do it with like Z and Gary both on the line and Kenny Clark? Like, could you do some shit like that? Z, Gary, and Kenny all on the line. You would try to have Z on the line and then have Gary on the as your other stand-up linebacker. I mean, because remember now, like Gary, he actually played I guess maybe in a 3-3-5 defense or some shit. He played as a DN edge guy in college, so I mean, he would be comfortable there. And now he's got a more of a grown man body. You'd have Clark, Z, and Gary all on the line. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, Clark, Z, and Gary all on the line. People, you know what we need to focus on? Why in the world would Green Bay Packers just throw out their coaches? Yeah, because they weren't getting it done, man. Green Bay had one of the worst freaking special teams units in the NFL. And, you know, as far as the DC, if they would have brought him back, I wouldn't have been as mad as other fans. But I'm also kind of excited or like curious to see who they bring in and if the next guy can get more out of this talent. Because I honestly think that this defense has a lot of talent. I think they are maybe one of the more talented defenses in the NFL. I really even with guys like Lowry, but in Lancaster and, you know, some of the pieces that in the secondary that aren't that great, the stars that they have are really freaking good. Like Jair and Savage and Amos and Z and Clark and Gary, like just right there, I feel like every one of those guys could maybe be like all pro. Like honestly, like with the right defensive coordinator, I think this team could have had fucking 7 all pros, man, or 8 all pros. Aaron Rodgers should become a coach. Okay, now you're just talking like fantasy world. Z would probably be the weak guy. You think Z would be the weak guy there? You think Z? Why do you think Z would be the weak guy? Because he hasn't like traditionally played strong run defense. I feel like Z has kind of struggled in the running game in the past, but I feel like it's more of like coaching, not ability. You know, I feel like definitely with his body type and his strength and speed, I feel like Z could damn near. I mean, he has good speed to play on the line or sort of rushing the passer. I don't think he has good speed to like, or like, he's not really agile to be in space and shit and cover. But as far as like rushing the passer or playing the run, I feel like he could do it if he really put his mind to it, or if the coach was like, look, motherfucker, like this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing this. But I think Patton allowed Z to just do whatever he wanted. And he hardly ever like disciplined him or like told him not to do that stuff. Like because I did notice a lot of the times like Z did struggle to keep outside contained. But when he knew a run was coming, or when he was like focused on doing certain things, like he did it very well, you know. But he did struggle to keep outside contained sometimes. And another thing that Z liked to do that would just piss me off is he liked to jump inside a lot to try to just like out quick dudes or like taking a risk, taking a gamble. He would go inside instead of, like I said, keeping outside contained. And I feel like a lot of the times that end up hurting the Packers, whether it was like the quarterback kind of scrambling out the pocket or like those stretch plays or toss plays, instead of keeping outside contained like he's supposed to, or I feel like I was always taught to when I was in school, he would just try to jump inside and kind of get to the ball carrier, I guess, before they can get going. But he didn't get there. That he didn't get home enough for me. Like if I was petting, I would have been like, yo, don't do that shit. Like I would have told him like, nah, bro, cut that out. You making me look bad. You know what I'm saying? And it's stuff like that to me. Like I know Pettin didn't always make the right calls sometimes, but the thing I said about Pettin is like even with the wrong call, quote unquote, I feel like if it's executed well, you would probably like at least 65-70% of the time still be able to not give up a big play or like make a good defensive play if guys execute it at a very high level. But I think what really ended up being Patton's downfall is like he didn't have all the talent that he needed, and sometimes the talent that he did have, like mostly Zadarius Smith, in my opinion, he was always doing like we used to call it wildcatting. Like he was always just on his own page. He was always like jumping stuff he probably shouldn't have jumped. He was always like kind of just freestyling, basically. Yeah, Z was freestyling most of the time, and I think it ended up like making Pettin look bad, and I think it ended up making other guys look bad. And while it was successful, I don't know if it was successful enough. Like, I felt like it was maybe like 60-40. But that 40 where he fucked up, it really was a bad 40%. Like, it was really bad. So I hope the next guy can force Za'Darius to play a little more discipline. Because I think, honestly, if he just played a little more discipline, that would actually help this defense out a lot too. Like, just having a guy like Za'Darius play more discipline. Because you can tell that Pettin just let him do whatever he wanted to do. And even Blake Martinez, when he left and he went to the Giants, he kind of threw Za'Darius and Pettin really more so under the bus, saying like, yeah, man, he just basically let those dudes do whatever he wanted, and I was left to clean up. And it made me look bad. So real quick, man, I'm gonna run down these free agents to see if there's anybody on the list that the Packers can poach up. Dak Prescott, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, and these are the top 50 free agents according to Pro Football Focus. Trent Williams, safety Anthony Harris. We don't need no safety. Safety Justin Simmons. But I wonder if any of these safeties could play like in the nickel position. Free agent is really weak overall this offseason. My top 3 free agent signings for the Packers would be Lindsley, a must. I agree with you. Levante David, a pipe dream. Oh, and Patrick Peterson, if he can be had for cheap. There's a name I wasn't expecting, to be honest with you. Wow, okay. Okay, Rick LM. Honestly, I was not expecting that name. Patrick Peterson. But you said this is your free agency wish list, and I think we both agree that Mr. Lindsley is right at the top of the list for the Packers. I believe he just won his first All-Pro as a center, and I think that he could win another one next year, or he's definitely going to be a top 1, 2, or 3 guy every single year. So if you ask me, I completely agree that Lindsley would be number 1. Now, as for my number 2 and 3 player, I mean, what do you think about Stephon Gilmore? Do you think the Packers can get him? You think he would be too expensive, or you think he's overrated, or you think like you're not sure about his injury? Like, what do you think about Stephon Gilmore? Yeah, man, and they have right here, Pro Football Focus has Levante David as the 8th most coveted free agent, one of the best linebackers of his generation. David is still playing at an incredibly high level past the age of 30. David has been able to counter what that, in many ways, he is the archetype for the modern linebacker in the league's shift to the offensive philosophy away from smash mouth football towards speed and efficiency. Davis has been able to counterpart that with speed and efficiency of his own. In addition to excellent coverage skills, he has 4 seasons in his career with a PFF coverage grade of 85 or above and has never been lower than 64 in that area. Those coverage skills is what teams will be coveting most. To your point, Rick LM. Yeah, I know. Okay, maybe Gilmore isn't a free agent, but I know that like this season rather, there were reports that the Patriots were looking to move him. So that's what I was saying. Leonard Williams will be number 4. Okay. All right. Oh, and they're saying that Buccaneers signed David for 3 years, $40 million, $13 million a year, $23 million total guarantees, and a $17 million fully guaranteed at sign. Oh, that's their prediction. 3 years, $40 million? Okay. Can the Packers swing that? Leonard Williams. Okay, Leonard Williams, big boy. D tackle. Let me see. They haven't had him on the list yet. Is Cam Newton? They still got Cam Newton as one of the top free agents? Like, I don't know, man. I feel like he took a major step back this year. Ooh, Richard Sherman. What about Richard? What do you think about Richard Sherman, Mr. Rick LM? What do you think about Richard Sherman? I think someone like Richard Sherman is kind of a little intriguing to me. I know he's not necessarily the best, or he kind of got famous for playing that zone coverage. No, Sherman. For one, he had a bitch ass. He's a bitch ass who almost hurt Devontae whenever he got beat. And he's a zone guy. We don't want Jair in a heavy zone. Yeah, okay, that's what I'm going to say. I know he's a zone guy, like a quarter zone or cover 3 or whatever. Okay. William Jackson III. Jackson was the Bengals' first-round pick in 2016 and is playing in 2020 on a $9.6 million fifth-year option after tearing his pectoral and being lost for the year before his rookie campaign. Even kicked off. Jackson responded with a 90.2 defensive grade in his redshirt sophomore season. The sixth best. Blase. Bengals invested big money in former Vikings cornerback Trey Waynes this past offseason, signing him to a 3-year, $42 million deal. He unfortunately suffered a similar fate. All right. William Jackson III. William Jackson would be way too expensive. Okay. They got Desmond King on this list as well. Leonard Williams, defensive interior, 25th on the list. One of the sure bets in the class. William has been graded between 70 and 82 in all 6 of his years. Run defense is his calling card. I like the sound of that. We need a big run stuffing nasty mother effer in the middle. He ranks 86 in the 86th percentile in PFF run defense grade since entering the league. His best work coming as a B and C gap defender. Williams is an average pass rusher, and even with increased sack totals this season, he's yet to break 72 on a pass rush grade for his career. Still, Williams has been one of the most valuable interior defensive linemen in the league since 2015, and his level of consistency is a plus for potential suitors. Williams was traded from the Jets to the Giants in 2019 and had to move his locker across MetLife Stadium. Right, I know that's crazy. He may be moving much further than that in 2020 unless he can agree to a long-term extension with the Giants after coming off the franchise tag. Their prediction says the Panthers will sign Williams to a 4-year, $72 million deal, 18 per year. I mean, how does that sound to you? I mean, the Packers are currently, if the Packers, and like I said, I can get more into this next week when I bring on my draft guy, and we're going to talk about the cap and shit like that. The Packers have some options, man. They have guys on the team that they can cut or have restructure or even could be trade bait. Like I think Preston Smith is going to be trade bait because they want Gary to get more time on the field. Gary still hasn't cracked 50% of the snaps. And he's been uber productive, like super productive. So if Gary can actually get on the field like 70, 80% of the snaps, I think he can even be like, I think his numbers could skyrocket. Pressures, he's good in run defense, sacks, just disruptive plays. So I think Preston could easily be trade fodder for a team looking for an outside linebacker. Yeah, he's kind of making a lot of money, but they can trade him, and another team can restructure him, or Preston can restructure with the Packers and stick with the Packers. But I would love for the Packers to maybe trade Preston and be able to bring in a cornerback, or maybe the Lion, or maybe the Giants want, maybe they I don't know, but he's a free agent, so I guess they wouldn't do that. But I think Preston can be trade fodder, honestly, because they really want to get Gary on the field. The Panthers want him for their 3-3-5, but I don't think he gets that much. Yeah, you were talking about that. Yeah, they want him for that 3-3-5, man. And now you've now kind of made my mouth water. Pause. A little bit for Leonard Williams. I knew he was a big name coming out of USC. Right, he came out of USC, I think, a couple years back, and I knew he got moved, but I don't watch the Giants, and they weren't really on TV that much, so I never got a chance to see how he played. But if they're telling me he still is one of the best run defenders in the entire league, then I mean that's exciting to me, because like you said, that's really what we need. We got Clark and Gary and Z to rush the passer, honestly, and even Kiki showed an ability to rush the passer. What we really need is another good run stuffing defensive lineman. And if this Leonard will, okay, let me ask you then. Maybe what if the market for Leonard Williams is higher than we anticipate, or as high as they anticipate? Would you rather sign Leonard Williams and bolster this defense and let Corey Linsley walk? Or would you rather sign Linsley and just have to go into next season with Lancaster and Lowry and maybe somebody that they draft? Which would you prefer, Mr. Rick L. Tell me, Mr. Rick. Does that sound enticing to you? Mr. Rick? Nah, if Leonard is expensive, I'd rather sign Linsley and then take a run on Dalvin Tomlinson, who is a younger Leonard Light. Oh, is that like a rookie? Is he about to be a rookie guy in the rookie class? I'm not as well versed on the rookie class this year as I would be in previous seasons, because I didn't really watch the NCAA this year. Oh, he's a third year. Oh shit. Then how the fuck would he be available then? Let me see. Let me keep going. Ooh, Bud Dupree. Chibada and Awuzie. Jonnu Smith, tight end. Russell Okung. Alejandro Villanueva. Okay. Do you think the Packers do anything else to address their offensive line issues? I mean, once Bakhtiari went down, like I don't think everyone's coming. Even if they say they sign Linsley, I don't know if everybody else is coming back. Do you think Rick Wagner's coming back? Do you think Billy Turner's coming back? I know they like that kid Runyon. And then, Lane Taylor, right? He's going to, is it Lane Taylor? Right, Lane Taylor got hurt in the first game. Like, he could come back. Nah, draft probably. Let Wagner go. Yeah, I feel you. Wagner, he was the one getting his ass whipped on last weekend, wasn't he? Ooh, Melvin Ingram. Really? I thought Melvin Ingram signed a deal. Oh, no, they just gave him more money. That's right. Shaquille Griffin and Shaquille Barrett. Quentin Dunbar. There's actually a lot of cornerbacks on the market, honestly. There's more cornerbacks than I thought on the market. Xavier Woods. Awuzie. But I don't think he's that good. Mike Hilton. I'm just saying, there's names. I don't know how good any of these guys are, but there are more names on this list than I thought. I mean, John Johnson the third, even though he's a safety, Desmond King. There are a lot of cornerback names on here. I didn't even get to your boy yet. Quentin Dunbar. What about Jayon Brown? How you feeling about Jayon Brown? Says another undersized modern day linebacker. Brown has the 10th best coverage grade in the league since 2018. Below average run defenders, but plus above average or plus coverage players. And both have he has a 5th round pedigree. Oh, Aaron Jones cracks their list at number 42. All right, this is their prediction. They think the Dolphins will sign Jones to a 4-year, $45 million a year salary with $11 million annual, $25 million guaranteed, and $15 fully guaranteed at signing. Honestly, that sounds a little cheap to me. I think Aaron Jones is going to get more money than that. They said the Packers offered him a top 5 contract, a contract that was top 5 on the annual yearly amount, and they're saying 11. I think the Packers probably offered him like maybe 12 or 12 and a half a year because they said top 5. And they're saying only $45 million and $25 million guaranteed, $15 million fully guaranteed at signing. The reason why, though, he turned down the contract was reported by Rob Demovsky, is that apparently he wanted more fully guaranteed money. I think Jones could get maybe like 50 or 55 million on the market. I'd rather keep cultivating Barnes and Martin over Jayon. Only way I'm spending money on middle linebackers if we get a stud like Levante without breaking the bank, which is a pipe dream. I mean, you never know, man. You never know. You never know. You never know, Rick LM. You might just get that dream. You might get that dream. What do you think about this Aaron Jones prediction? The Dolphins signing Aaron Jones to 4 years, $45 million, $11 million a year with $25 guaranteed and $15 fully guaranteed at signing. I think that sounds a little cheap, honestly. I think Jones could get like 55 mil with like, I don't know, 12 and a half a year and like 30 guaranteed. Yeah. Oh. Yes. Very smart, Mr. Dicker LM. Very smart. They can offer a little less. Okay, yeah, because of no taxes. Okay. Troy Hill, another cornerback on the market. Yo, there's a lot of cornerbacks on the market, man. Have you done any research on these cornerbacks? Because there's a lot on the market. And like you said, the Packers need an upgrade at cornerback. You said you want, Brian Poole. I don't know how good he played, but this is another guy, slot cornerback. 5'9". Ooh, KJ Wright. Oh, there you go. Number 50 on the list. Troy Hill's bottom is still black and blue from Lazard. Oh, yeah. Yes. That is the guy. Yeah, that is the dude. Okay. For the Rams, right? Hey, come join the win. Can't beat us, join us, baby. But they say he's much better in the slot, though. Yeah, but we need an outside guy. So Patrick Peterson didn't crack the top 50 of the but here we go. Bada bang. Bada bong. They mentioned it right here. Contract analysis for your boy Dalvin Tomlinson. Tomlinson has a distinct profile as an above average run defender and a below average pass rusher. He ranked in the 82nd percentile in PFF run defensive grade since 2017, and he knows and he knows how to finish plays, generating one of the best run stop percentages in the league. As a pass rusher, Tomlinson has never graded above a 62. Ugh, that's disgusting. Though he's trending in the right direction with a low 70s grade so far in 2020. So when was this article produced? He can play all over the defensive interior and represents one of the best run-stopping nose tackles in the class. The Green Bay Packers were reportedly sending offers for Tomlinson at the trade deadline, but the Giants didn't want to part ways with a player they envisioned as an important part of the future. Tomlinson and 2019 first-round pick Dexter Lawrence could form a formidable tandem on the defensive interior for years to come. They think the Giants will sign Tomlinson to a 4-year, $50 million deal. Ooh. Does that sound like something the Packers would do? 4 years, $50 million? So the Giants had Tomlinson and Quentin Williams? Damn. Oh, yeah. I guess so. Yeah, that's better than the $20 million they said for Leonard. I mean, but yeah, if you had to pick one, though, right? Yeah. That's true. Yeah, 13 a year, right? And you said Leonard Williams. I don't know what I said. I forget what I just called him, but it wasn't his right name. Leonard Williams. Yeah, where was he at? I think he was like at the top of the list. He's like top 5, right? Let me just go. Where was he at? He had a picture. There he is. Leonard Williams, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, 18 mil. So you get him for about $6 million less a year, and you save a lot of money though on the total. Yeah. Okay. Okay, man. This has been a good conversation, man. Taking a quick look at the free agency list. We know what Rick LM wants. He wants Leonard Williams or Leonard Williams Light, Dalvin Tomlinson, and his pipe dream would be Levante David. I'm going to have to take a deeper look at this list. And then you also threw in my man, Patrick Peterson. I think those are definitely the areas where they need to beef up. The defensive line and cornerback. So we're going to see what they do. And, I'm going to take a look at this list and maybe some other lists. I don't know if this list was like up to date. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think, when did they produce this? Pro Football Focus. They produced this list December 2nd. So that was like, almost two months ago. And a lot has changed now, with they kind of they might have a better idea with how things are going to be in the with the salary cap and some other shit after the season played out. Guys have got a chance to finalize their statistics. Hey man, yeah, I like that though. I like the sign of that Dalvin Tomlinson guy. I like the sign of that, man. Dalvin Tomlinson and maybe Patrick Peterson and Corey Linsley. Hey, that sounds like a winning formation, a winning combination to me. All right, everybody, it's your boy Godchild, first of his name. I think I'm about to wrap the show up. We went a strong hour 30. No guests on the day, so I feel like an hour 30 is not bad. You know what I mean? And I was even really trying to keep it to an hour, but why not get the people what they want to see? So I'm getting ready to sign off. Like I said, if you haven't done so yet, man, hit me up on my socials. You see where I'm at. What's_packing on the IG. What's Packing Sports Show on YouTube. Please do that. I need some more subscribers on my YouTube channel, man. It's free to subscribe on YouTube. I lost a couple because I went on because of my Aaron Rodgers rant the past week. I think I lost a lot of subscribers on my I lost like maybe 4 or 5 subscribers on my YouTube who were following me on Twitter and was like, I'm never listening to you again. And of course you can see where I'm at on Twitter at What's Packing. I lost like 30 Twitter followers. So yeah, definitely, you know what I'm saying? If you haven't done so yet, man, give me a follow everywhere you can. Rick LM says, all right, take care, man. Mr. LM, until next time. And to everyone else, thank you for stopping by the show. It's your boy Godchild. This has been the What's Packing Sports Show, brought to you by Godchild. As always, go Pack, go. And remember, the Bears still suck. Peace.